Hey, you fiscal conservatives out there, we're getting snookered. What? I said we're getting snookered by the President of the United States. Strategically, he is one step ahead of us, and we don't even realize it. So what am I talking about? Just this. Amidst this whole debate on health insurance reform, he has set the rules of the game. What do I mean? Well, how many times have we heard the President in a speech or interview say that his plan will not add a dime to the deficit, or that it will be deficit neutral? And so the conversation follows along those lines. George Stephanopoulos from the Sunday Morning Show, in an interview, suggests that the individual mandate in the healthcare reform plan necessary to achieve the deficit neutral condition is really a tax, which it is. And the rest of the media, including conservative media, spends all of its time focusing on this deficit neutral question. But folks, as prudent as balanced budgeting is, and as important as it is to challenge the President's claim that his plan will in fact be deficit neutral, we need to change the conversation. We have to set the rules of the game. The President and his fellow regressives, that's right, I said regressives, can deficit neutral us all the way to full-blown socialism. They only need taxes to death to achieve that deficit neutral condition. So let's start talking about the Socialism Index. What? The Socialism Index. What's that? Well, remember the misery index that Reagan inherited from Carter, that defined the sum of the inflation and unemployment rates? So along those same lines, we are introducing into the political lexicon a new term known as the Socialism Index, to describe the percentage of federal government spending relative to the gross domestic product, or GDP, except in the form of a catchy, non-technical term. Because it is that percentage, as much as anything, that defines whether or not a country is socialist. And the higher the index, the more socialist that a country is. As a matter of reference, the Socialism Index in European countries like France and Sweden is about 50%, versus in America, where in early 2008, that index was only about 20%. But in a quick few months, between the spendulous bill and the omnibus bill and these unending bailouts, the Socialism Index in the U.S. is rapidly approaching 30%. And now with this looming cap and tax and this new healthcare entitlement, we are well on our way to a Socialism Index of 50%. More than a match for the stagnant socialist economies and coerced peoples of Europe. You see, the thinking of the regressives goes something like this. As long as we make cap and trade a taxable activity, it's okay because it won't add to the deficit. As long as we can offer free college tuition to everyone by taxing the rich to finance it, it's okay because it's deficit neutral. And as long as we ensure free daycare for all families by imposing fines on employers who fail to provide it, then we won't add a dime to the deficit, therefore constituting good government policy, and so on. Now, I know you veterans out there understand mission creep. The analogy here is that each new domestic government program adds but a little to the Socialism Index, but after many years we look back and see the accumulation of all these new missions have created an economic quagmire and turned us into a socialist nation. So we have to put a stop to any new domestic government mission before we creep any further into socialism. But the President and his fellow regressives insist that they and their policies are not socialist. In fact, they doth protest so much and become so defensive at the allegation that they have unwittingly revealed to us their Achilles heel. Undoubtedly, internal polling has warned the regressives that above all else, avoid the charge of socialism. But when a government rewrites the bankruptcy laws and forms a taxpayer-subsidized partnership with labor as a matter of choice, then that's socialism. When a government reverts to a steeply progressive income tax structure that results in 4 out of every 10 Americans paying no income tax at all, then that's socialism. When a government forces citizens to purchase health insurance under penalty of fine and imprisonment, then that's socialism. And finally, when a government controls so many sectors of the economy that half of a citizen's activities are somehow related to government, then that's clearly socialism. So, spread the word about the Socialism Index, and maybe the next Stephanopoulos interview will go something like this. President Obama, just 1 year into your term, the Socialism Index in the United States has surged from 20 to 30%. And if your healthcare reform does morph into a single-payer system, where the government remains as the only insurer, that will add as much as 12% more to the Socialism Index. So how can you continue to try to convince your critics that you yourself are not a socialist and that you have not transformed America from a capitalist system into a European-style socialist state? So, in conclusion, and President Obama, if you are listening, this debate is not nearly as much about making your plans deficit neutral as it is about the spending itself. It's the spending and the expansion of government to a level that is quickly turning us into a socialist state before we even realize it and have a chance to prevent it. So stop this excessive spending, end these unlimited entitlements, swear off these massive borrowings, reverse the mandates, stop this forced march to socialism, and restore America as a free country where capitalism, not Marxism, serves as the underpinning, and where we once again become the world's role model of a free and prosperous society. Thank you.